Good evening, visitors. Welcome to the Australian War Memorial's last post ceremony. Which marks the 99th anniversary of the Battle of Hamel during the First World War. My name is Karis May, and joining us today from the Australian Army is Private Raja Banda. We warmly welcome the family of Private Walter Alwyn Skay, whose story will be read shortly. We welcome the veterans who have served, those that are still serving, and the families that support them. We acknowledge the members of RSL and Services Clubs Association, RSL Victoria and RSL Queensland, who are watching the broadcast of this ceremony from around Australia. During this evening's ceremony, wreaths will be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection by visitors and students on behalf of the following schools. From Western Australia, Willetton Senior High School, and the Premier Spirit of Anzac Prize Group from Victoria. To commence this evening's ceremony, I invite you all stand and join in singing the National Anthem. The Australian War Memorial was a vision of Charles Bean, Australia's First World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through to the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him at Pozières, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would be a place where families and friends could mourn loved ones buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed at the entrance to the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit, in the heart of the land they loved, and here we guard the record which they themselves made. Tonight, we will read the story behind just one of those on the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 102,000 men and women who have given their lives for us in war and operations for over more than a century. But first we present a lament, Flowers of the Forest. Wreaths and floral tributes will now be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection.
Today, we remember and pay tribute to Private Walter Alvin Skay. Walter Alvin Skay was born on the 22nd of November, 1894 in Carr Springs, New South Wales, to Thomas and Esther Skay. He attended Upper Wybong Public School and by the time the First World War began, was working as a laborer in Queensland. He enlisted in the Australian Imperial Force in Toowoomba on the 10th of August, 1915. After his initial training, he was allotted to reinforcements to the 9th Battalion, and on the 30th of October, he embarked from Brisbane aboard the transport ship Etonus, bound for Egypt. After training in Egypt, the 9th Battalion sailed for France. It was first sent to the nursery sector around Armentières, where the newly arrived troops were introduced to trench warfare. In June, a raiding party was organized by Captain Maurice Wilder Nelligan for an attack on German positions at the Sugarloaf. Skay was one of those who volunteered for the raid. Training was constant in the weeks leading up to the raid, and nightly patrols in no man's land were conducted to familiarize the men with the ground at night. Towards midnight on the 1st July, the raiders split into 3 parties set out. Skay was amongst the bayonet men in the center party, and soon after entering the German forward trench, was badly wounded in the legs, most likely by a German grenade. The raid lasted a matter of minutes, and when the signal to retire was given, the Australians withdrew. Attempts were made to bring out the wounded, but the German counterattack drove the Australians back, forcing them to leave several of their men, including Skay. Skay's fate is unclear, but as he was not listed as a prisoner of war in Germany, a court of inquiry later found him to have been killed in action in the early hours of 2nd of July. He was 22 years old. His body was never recovered, and today his name appears on the Villers-Brettoneux Memorial, which commemorates over 10,000 Australian soldiers who fought in France and Belgium who have no known grave. His name is also listed on the Roll of Honor on my right amongst more than 60,000 Australians who died while serving in the First World War. This is but one of the many stories of service and sacrifice told here at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember Private Walter Alvin Skay, who gave his life for us, for our freedoms, and in the hope of a better world.
Could you all please stand for the ode and last post?
They shall not grow old, as we are left that grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun and in the morning, we will remember them. Lest we forget.
Lest we forget. We leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many a man lying out there at Pozières or in the low scrub at Gallipoli, with his poor tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain, has thought in his last moments, well, it's over, but in Australia, they will be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, that concludes this evening's last post ceremony. We would like to thank you for visiting the Australian War Memorial today, and we wish you all a very good evening. Thank you.